So, what? Don't laugh. As soon as I bloody hit record. Okay, we're now up to conversions, fractions, decimals, percentages. Now, as I was saying a couple of minutes ago off air, fractions, decimals, percentages all relate to each other very quickly. Percentages, we just talked about the fact that a percent basically means out of 100. One of the benefits of having a base 10 system of numerals and numbers is that our decimals are tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So everything's in base 10, so they relate very, very closely to each other. So 1 or 10% is the same as 10 over 100, which is the same as 1/10, which is the same as 0.1. Okay, so they all look very, very similar. Okay, that's fractions, decimals, and percentages. So they're not too hard to convert. It's only when you start getting fractions of percentages that you start thinking, oh my Lord, how do I do that? And that's why when we just did that one off screen, we multiplied things by 10 or multiplied them by 100 so that we start getting whole numbers again. So 0.45, this one, write 0.45 as a fraction is its simplest form. Oh, he's back in the boot. Didn't see that. Write 0.45 as a fraction in its simplest form. First thing to look at is, it's a decimal at the moment, what does 0.45 mean? If we split it up into its components, what is the 4? It is 4/10. What is the 5? 5/100. So we've got 4/10 and 5/100. How else could you write that? We got 0.45. And honestly, you wouldn't have to do this, but we're going to say it's 4/10 and 5/100. Okay, that's what it's made up of. You wouldn't have to do this. I'm just splitting it up just so you can see each of the place values. So 4/10. Nah, not really. You should be able to go straight from 0.45 is equal to get rid of that, is 45 over 100. Okay, does that make sense? Because 4/10 is the same as 40/100. Cool, so we've got 40/100, and I'm only showing you that just so you get in the habit of looking at it and going, okay, 4/10 is 40/100. Well, hang on 2 seconds because we haven't quite finished that because it does say simplest. What does that mean now? Yeah, work out what goes in. Yeah, see if you can simplify it. See if there's a number that goes into both. Find your highest common factor. 5 goes into 45 9 times. 5 goes into 100. Yeah, so we end up with 9 over 20. Now, if you had to do it in 2 steps, like a lot of times where there's even numbers, you'll actually go, okay, well, let's have a look. So 42 over 300. You go, okay, well, 42, they're both even. So I'll divide that one by 2, and I get 21. Divide that one by 2, and I get 150. And you go, excellent. Then you have a look at it, and there's another number you can go, because they're 21 and 150 are both divisible by 3. So you end up with 7 over 50. Okay, you could have done that in one step by dividing them both by 6. But if you don't recognize that, then that's not a problem. Do it in multiple steps. Even numbers, you know you can divide them by 2. Sometimes you won't recognize that you can divide them by 6 or 4 or 8. So start with the easy one if you need to. Start with 2 and see if you can keep going. Cool? Because if it's divisible by 4, that means you can divide it by 2 twice. Cool? You don't get prizes for doing it in one go. All right. Everyone happy with that? All right. Now, you were asking, how does it relate to this one? All right. Well, it doesn't really because we were doing that as a percentage. If we did it just as a decimal, because the one we did, just for those of you on the electric internet, we did 0.42%. If I actually wrote that as a decimal, because when we worked that out, we went, well, that's 0.42 over 100, times them both by 100, and you get 42 over 10,000. Cool. If we actually wrote this as a decimal, that's divided by 100. So our decimal would actually be 0.0042. That's our actual decimal version of that. And you can see that because I got 42 10,000ths. That's tenths, hundreds, thousands, 10,000ths. Make sense? Yeah. Okay, so that's the only trick there. And that's what I was saying. When you get into decimals or percentages that have decimals or fractions, then you've just got to be aware that 0.42 of a percent is less than 1%, which means it's less than 100th, which means you're getting into thousandths or 10,000ths. Cool bananas?